was very nice. They're very soaring melodic stuff right there.
Yeah, no, that's amazing stuff, and you can hear that on April 9th at the New Frontier. $5 only. Well, let's bring in our other band that we have here with us today. That's the Midnight Salvage Company. Brayson, who's been here before when you were just about to do a show at the Showbox Soto with, wasn't that Vile Red Falcons?
Vile Red Falcons, yeah.
Yeah. And so good to have you. And then we also have Brian. Brian, nice to have you in.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, you guys, I love on your MySpace, as you are talking about your band, you say it sounds like the Heartbreakers meet the Replacements meet the Hold Steady meets Tacoma.
That's about right.
Yeah, I love that. Now, you guys have quite a bit of a different sound than The Legend of Bigfoot, and you guys are also working on a CD. How's that process going?
It's going pretty well. I think it started off pretty solid, but it's
Does it have a working title?
no title yet. That'll be the last part
That'll
of
be
it.
the last part of it.
We're working on covers and then the music, obviously, but
now, have
it's
you
going
guys
all right.
have you had to take a bit of a break from performing live around the sound while you're recording this, or are you guys still out there playing?
We did. I mean, we took about a couple months break where we played the show at the Soto, and then we played, at Jazz Bones on St. Patty's Day. So there's been a pretty big gap there, but we're definitely gonna pick it up here.
Brian, how was that on St. Patty's Day?
It was interesting.
Was it off the hook?
Yeah, it was a good turnout. There was we played from 9 to 10, and then there was a DJ that came in right after us.
They have a lot of that there.
Yeah,
DJ
it was
Pedro.
It was DJ Pedro, and it was unusual to hear about a DJ on St.
Patty's Day, yeah.
But I don't know. There was a lot of people there, so
Was that DJ Mick Pedro?
Yeah, it's weird because Joe and I have been down there to see a band or something, and the way they pair bands, I'm not sure what Jazz Bones has going these days. It's like they almost have like an identity crisis. They can't quite nail down exactly what it is they want to do. So I was curious how that went, but I'm glad it went well. We actually heard about that show, but our St. Patty's Day we spend in Seattle crawling around the streets.
It's not too bad.
No, it's a good time. So now, how did you guys get hooked up with Legend of Bigfoot for this show?
That's all you.
Yeah, well, we've known these guys for a while, and we've done one show together. It's probably been 3 or 4 months now back, and we've just kept in touch since then. And I've seen them probably 6 or 7 times, and they're incredible. And I heard that they had something going on with Valis, and so we kind of did our best to kind of lobby for that third spot, and they were nice enough to hook us up with it. So it's.
So did you offer to pay them to play? Is that?
Yeah, they get our share of the cover.
No, I do have this question though. We talk to a lot of bands who are, trying to make their way, trying to make a name for themselves, and they're out there, trying to get into the clubs and stuff. When you branch out of the Tacoma area, let's say you try Olympia, and you guys have been to Seattle. Is there a stigma about being a Tacoma band that they don't take you serious, or are you not having problems with that, or how's that whole operation going?
Well, I don't know if there's a stigma about being a Tacoma band, but like when we go and play in Seattle or Bremerton, obviously there's a bit of concern on their end about us not drawing well. Mm-hmm. So we've had to prove ourselves a couple times in situations like that. And so, in fact, the show that Brayson was here to promote last at the Showbox, I mean, we were the only band in the group to sell all of our, a lot of tickets or whatever. So, yeah, so that's nice to be able to talk to the booking agents at other venues and let them know we're capable of doing that.
So you guys have a pretty solid backing of fans.
Yeah, we do a pretty good job of spacing out our shows because we're really appreciative of all the people who have been supportive of it. So we don't want to burn anybody out, and if we can put a month in between our gigs, that's great. And so we try to make it a bit of an event,
right,
for all of our friends.
Very good, very good.
Brayson, vocally, you've got definitely that Dylan-esque petty feel.
Heard that.
Okay, and that's what I was going to say. Do you get tired of hearing that comparison?
No, I don't mind it. I mean, obviously those are great people, so I don't mind that. And there's nothing really I can do about it, So I don't mind it. I'll be honest with you. At times, I can hear it. Other times I can't. I think I could personally take it that way if I wanted to. I don't necessarily try not to, but I definitely don't try and like go, okay, well, you know, like my brother's given me some lyrics once, and I was like, man, if I sing this, I'm gonna sound like Bob Dylan, you know, this is blowing in the wind, buddy. So I get that. A lot of people who hear it and be like, oh, that's you? That sounds like Bob Dylan. I'm like, well, you know, whatever you do is what you do. So
Right, so it is what it is. And also, following up on that, lyrically, you guys are very strong. How does that come about? Is that a collaboration with everyone? Because, you know, lyrics are always storytelling, but it seems like in your lyrics, it's more than just the story. It's kind of like chapter, and it keeps following through.
Yeah, that's all Brayson.
yeah, that's all. I guess that's all. I mean, that's me. So it comes from me. Where it comes from is, I mean, they're all pulled from bits and pieces of either things I've seen or things been around and stuff like that. But yeah, for me it'd be hard to hear. I mean, I'm open for anything, but it's hard for me to hear someone work it in that way. But I think there are songs where we go, okay, this is getting too wordy and this and that. So we do. I mean, I think the band has some input in that way, but it starts off a lot for me. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I really like it a lot.
Well, I'm just curious, when you guys play live, do you have a hard time reproducing? This is open for both bands. Going from studio to stage and venue, because we've had guys like Buck Ornsby in here, and we did an interview with Don Wilson from the Ventures, who talk a lot about back in their day, they just rolled up with amps and played to the room. Now there's all kind of technology, and there's, you know, you can put your MacBook up there and all. Do you find that a challenge, or is that with the modern technology and stuff, you feel like you can replicate that sound pretty well?
We can replicate ours exactly. I mean, and that's by design too. We wanted to make sure that our first EP sounded exactly like how we sound live. I mean, it's totally by design on our part.
Bigfoot?
Yes, we can replicate the sound. Yeah, we try to. I mean, we have 6 people in the band actually, so we have plenty of people to play multiple parts. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we try to keep it, you know, basically 6 parts on the CD or whatever. So, I mean, you know, maybe 6 plus 6 plus in there. But no, we can fully replicate the sound, and we want to be able to do that because. Maybe you've seen a band before and you've heard their studio album and maybe it just sounded really awesome, and then you've seen them live and maybe it wasn't up to par, maybe it was stripped down but it was still cool, but we want to be able to replicate.
Or it was coming through like a MIDI or something and they were like lip syncing. I've seen that before too.
Yeah, we don't really do that.
No.
Well, speaking of good sound, let's listen to a track by the Midnight Salvage Company. The title of this song is Last Lane.